taking a bite out of the iconic Hollywood burger chain Fatburger. Parent company Fat Brands set to go public on the NASDAQ today, listing its shares under the ticker FAT. Fat Brands says it plans to raise $24 million in its IPO. And joining us now is the CEO and president of Fatburger, Andy Wiederhorn. Andy, tell us about the IPO. Why now?
Well, we are a global franchising company, so we have franchisees in 32 countries around the world. And we've acquired additional brands, like we just bought the Ponderosa and Bonanza Steakhouse brands. We have Fatburger, we have another brand called Buffalo's Cafe. And for us, going public allows us to raise capital and buy more brands.
And you did just, you spent $10.5 million to acquire
Ponderosa and Bonanza.
And Homestyle.
Correct.
Homestyle Dining.
That's the parent of Ponderosa.
The parent of those two companies. Those are old school brands. What are you going to do with those chains? Do they need work?
Sure, they need a little work. But the thing is that customers around the world love American brands. They love burgers, they love pizza, they love chicken, they love steak, they love coffee. Not all food types work around the world. Sushi, Mexican, things like that don't work in every market around the world. But they love American brands. So we will take the Ponderosa and Bonanza steakhouse chain as an American steakhouse chain. It will be very popular everywhere.
And in the franchise business, do you also own a bunch of yourself and own and operate as well?
Right. We own just 1% of the stores. Okay. Everything else is a franchise everywhere. And that's really our business model. And going public at Fat Brands is really as a global franchise company. So we want our small business owners to own those brands and own those restaurants and not operate them. We're not going to operate them.
And what's it cost to buy a franchise?
Well, usually, to build a restaurant could be $400,000 or $500,000. To buy a franchise might be $50,000, but that's part of the overall cost.
How many locations? And it's mainly West Coast right now, Andy, and then moving east?
Well, so Fatburger is mainly West Coast, but in 30 countries around the world. Yep. The total number of restaurants between Fatburger and Buffalo's and Ponderosa is over 300 open and 300 more that have been paid for to be built.
This is a very crowded space, though, in terms of the hamburger chains, the higher end. And I always point to Shake Shack, but even smaller chains. You've got Whataburger out of Texas. Sure. You have Umami Burger, which is also out of Los Angeles. And some do well in some regions, and some don't. I mean, I can even point to some Shake Shacks that are not as popular as the ones, say, here in New York City.
What's interesting is, like, our business right now is up double-digit in California. We're up over 11% year-to-date, and most of the brands and most of the space is off 2%. And we have just gone to town with delivery. It's really been a game changer for us. Consumers want to eat what they want to eat, right? But they'd love to eat it at home, and they can watch their show and do what they're doing instead of having to go to the restaurant.
Is that 11% same-store sales or 11% number of franchise increases? Same-store
sales year-to-date, 11.5%.
And how about franchise increases? What is it year on year?
Well, we've sold like another 100 units this year of additional franchises, so probably a 33% increase.
Are you going to really be expanding here on the East Coast?
Of course, we want to be in many markets. For 10 years, we were in the state of New Jersey. So, I mean, we've been in New York before. We love the East Coast market. We just need the right franchise partner to be in this market.
Right, and because delivery is very different. We understand delivery in New York City and Boston and major metropolitan areas, but when you get into these more rural areas in the Midwest and even the East, along the Eastern Seaboard, it's a very different story.
Right. I do think it's a game changer, and I do think delivery will spread into casual dining. I think that customers love casual dining food, home-cooked meals, just as much as they like fast food or fast casual food, and they just don't want to go and eat it in the restaurant as much. That game has changed for everyone, right, having things delivered. And you'll see the casual dining chains move into better packaging and delivering food so you can have a home-cooked meal. Instead of going to the restaurant, you can have it right at home.
I do want to just point out really quickly, you have a vegan option.
We do.
Which is very important to me. And again, people act like saying you're vegan is some sort of political statement. I'm like, no, it's not a political statement. It's because I don't eat animals, period.
We have the Impossible Burger, which we just launched, which is a 100% plant-based burger, and it tastes like beef. And so you think you're eating a hamburger, but it's 100% vegan.
Just 10 seconds. Why NASDAQ? Why do you choose NASDAQ, not New York Stock Exchange?
Very interesting. The NASDAQ is just a global partner like no one else. I mean, they are the center for global commerce for public companies, and they've been a great partner for us. And as we grow around the world, it's the right place for us to be.
Andy, it was great to see you, except you brought no food.
I know, you bring nothing.
So,
it's in the back for you guys.
Andy, thank you. Andy Wiederhorn, Fatburger, coming up.